Hello everyone, this is Vijayasri working as an assistant professor, Department of CSIT, MLR Institute of Technology. In today's session, we are going to discuss about structures in C. Overview of the session, what is a structure, why we need a structure, how to declare, how to initialize the value to the structure, and how to access the structure members. What is a structure? Structure is a derived data type. It is a collection of heterogeneous data type. Heterogeneous data type means if I want to store different values of different data types, then we using structures in C. If I want to store multiple values, already we have arrays. Array is having a property that it can store multiple values of same type. Suppose if I want to store marks of 60 students, all the marks of 60 students are of type integer. But I want to store a multiple values. So, data type, we are having an array to store different multiple values of 60. Now, this array can store 60 values of type only integer. Let us consider the details of a student. Student details. Student is having a roll number, name, and a marks. Roll number is of type integer. Name is of type character, but it is a character array. That means a string. Now marks is of type float. If I want to store these type of data, all data are of not same type. All the data are of different types. If I want to store the details of the student under a single name, we can do this using structures in C. So the definition of the structure is, it is a heterogeneous collection of elements of different data elements under a single name. Then how to declare a structure? Using a keyword struct. Struct is a keyword which is used to declare a structure. Then structure name, or we can say structure tag. So here this becomes student is the structure tag, or we can say structure name, tag of the structure. Then what this student is having? The student is having a roll number, name, and a marks. I consider only 3 details. So roll number is of integer type, so data type. We can call it as a member 1. Then end with a semicolon. Then the next is a data type, member 2. So on, we can write n number of members. So always we have to declare the structure using the keyword struct. This structure can be declared inside the main or above the main. And this must be end with a semicolon. Structure must be end with a semicolon. So here we have a structure name. So I want a student details. I want to declare that structure. So to declare a structure, we need a struct keyword. Then the structure name is the student. I want a student details. That student is having a name which is of type character, but it is a array of characters. So here we will mention the size. It becomes a string now. Now roll number. Roll number is of type integer, and then marks is of type float. This is how we declare a structure. So by this declaration, will the memory is allocated to this? No. Now it becomes just a template. Like we can say int. If I declare a int occupies 4 bytes of memory. Now the memory is allocated for this. No. When it is allocated, when I declare a variable to this data type. Now A can store integer type values which takes 4 bytes of memory. The same. Here also the memory will not be allocated. It's just a template that this structure is having members of a student name, roll number, and then marks. And structure must be end with a semicolon. When the memory is allocated, when we declare a variable to the structure. Then how to declare a variable? As we all know, the data type and the variable name. So here the data type is struct student. Struct student. So how to declare a variable to the structure? Main. Declare a variable is, as we all know, that int A, suppose, where int is the data type and A is the variable name. So here, but struct student is the data type. So here we have to write down struct student, then variable name, suppose S1. Now this S1 is having a member of a name, roll number, and a marks. Now the memory is allocated to S1. S1. What S1? S1 is having a name, then roll number, then marks. How much memory is allocated for this S1? Name is of type character, that means 1 byte, but it can take up to 50 characters. So 50 bytes of memory is allocated for the name. Then roll number occupies 4 bytes. Then marks occupies 4 bytes. So in total, the memory is given to S1 is 58 bytes. Then how to declare a variable to the structure? Either we can go with this way, struct to student S1, or else whenever we are writing a structure, we can declare the variable here itself S1. Otherwise we can declare a structure variable in the main. If I have a 2 student, we can write S1 comma S2 semicolon. If I want to declare a variable of 60 students, we cannot write S1 comma S2 so on S60. For that we are having a concept called array of structures. This we'll discuss in the next session. So now, how to access members of the structure? How to access members of the structure? Either using a dot operator. Using a dot operator, we can access members of the structure, or arrow operator. Arrow operator is used if the structure variable are pointers. If the structure variable are pointers, then we'll use the access operator called When the variables are pointers, then we use access operator as arrow operator to access the members of the structure. Otherwise, we'll use the dot operator. Like, suppose consider an array A. Now this is 3, 4, so on. Now the values given here 21, 11, 15, 16, 17. Now I want to print the value which is present in the index 3. So in index 3 we have 16. If I want to retrieve that value, then I want to print that. So printf %d, because it is holding integer value, %d, where I want to retrieve the value in the array. So here we have to mention that position in A of 3. In the same way, if I want to access the members of the structure, we have to use the dot operator. So example program, how to write a structure. To write a structure, we have to use the keyword struct, then the student name. Here we'll write members of the structure. Members of the structure, here I consider name of the student, then age, roll number. So roll number is of type integer. So here I consider one more example. To write a structure, we need a struct keyword, then student. So here the name of the student is data type character, then the size is 10 suppose. Now it becomes a string. Now roll number is of type integer, then marks is of type float, structure end with a semicolon. Now these are called as the members of the structure. If I want to access the members of the structure, we have to declare a variable to the structure. How to declare a variable? Data type and a variable name. Here the data type is the entire struct student. So in our main, I am declaring the variable for the structure. So struct student, then the variable name is S1. Now here I am initializing the values. We have two types of initializations, compile time or runtime. Compile time means whenever we are writing the source code, there only we will provide the values. Then it becomes a compile time. Otherwise, when the time of execution we are providing the values, then it is called as the runtime initialization. So here I declared the structure variable as S1. Here only I am initializing the value to that S1. One is the name is of type string, so that must be enclosed in a double quotations. So here CSC. Then we have a roll number is of integer type, so 1. Then marks is of 25.5 because I consider it as a float. Then these are separated by a comma. If I want to print these values, this is the compile time initialization. If I want to print the values, we have to use a function called printf. Which type of values I want to print? First is the character array. That means we have to use the format specifier is percentages. Then next is 1, which is of type integer. And then whose values? S1 values. S1 is the variable of the structure type. To access the members of the structure, we have to use a dot operator. Then S1 dot name. So initializations are of two, compile time initialization and a runtime initialization. Compile time initialization means we'll provide the values here. So that is, this S1 is having a name. Let us suppose name is CSC, comma roll number is 1. Then marks are 25.5. Whatever the values here we have given, we can print these values using a function called printf. First is of type character and it is a character array, so I have to use percentages and then %d, %f, because %d represents the roll number is of type integer, then marks is of type float, so %f, whose values those are S1, where S1 is the variable to the struct student. So S1 dot name, comma S1 dot roll number, comma S1 dot marks. So in this way we'll print the values which are provided at a compile time. Now coming to runtime, that means we are not providing the values here. We are giving the values at runtime. That means on the console window. So output window. Then here it will ask printf. Just simply I am writing one more statement after this. Printf. Enter the student details. So enter student details. So the details here I am providing for that student is CSC and then 1, then 25.5. The values which are given at a runtime, to read those values we are having a function called scanf. Which type of values? CSC is of character array, so we have to use a format specifier percentages. Then 1, One is a roll number which is of type integer, so format specifier is %d. Then marks is of type %f, comma. To access members of the structure, we have to use an operator called dot operator. So S1 is having a name. To access this member of the structure, we have to use dot. Then S1 dot roll number, then S1 dot marks. Here, using a scanf function, we have to use the address operator S1 dot roll number, then address of S1 dot marks. We should not use address operator for the name because name is of character array. Already the base address is stored in it. So to print the values, we have to use a function called printf. So the first one is the string, so percentages. Then the roll number which is of type integer, so %d, and then marks which is of type float. So to access the members of the structure, we have to use the structure variable and the member using a dot operator. Here the structure variable is S1, dot operator, then members of the structure is name, comma, S1 dot roll number, comma, S1 dot marks. In this way, we can read the values of a student and we can print. So here this is the compile time initialization. Here we discussed the runtime initialization. So in this session we have discussed about what is a structure, how to declare a structure and how to access members of the structure, and we have seen runtime compile time initialization and runtime initialization. In the next session we will see array of structures. We will discuss about array of structures.